Everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here with me and spending some of your weekend on the internet. I'm so excited that you found your way here, and this is really a place where you belong, no matter where you are on your relationship journey. So, I'm going to give you a little introduction to my upcoming group coaching program called Nourishing Non-Monogamy. Today's event is a preview of this upcoming group journey that will begin starting September 15th. And I really wanted to create today's free event as an opportunity for people to get to know me a little bit and learn more about how I'm approaching the curriculum and our time together and invite you into a somatic practice with me. So if you want to turn on your cameras, it's always great to see faces. Hi, friends. And if not, that's okay too. Yeah, awesome. Hi, Meg. Hi, Navar. So in today's event, I'm going to show you how somatic practices are a key way to help you go from feeling overwhelmed and reactive about non-monogamy to feeling more confident in your ability to proactively create healthy, consensual relationships that are flexible enough to evolve with you and your partners. Hi, Michael. Hi, Jay. Good to see your faces. So, by the end of our time together, you're going to learn how the practice of really tuning into the sensations and feelings in your body will help you learn to honor your needs, set boundaries from a place of calm and centeredness, and empower you to advocate for yourself and your relationships in a more grounded and effective way. So, before we dive into it, here's a couple testimonials from the spring cohort of this upcoming program. Will was transitioning from solo polyamory to a more hierarchical structure with his new fiance. And he said the somatic breathing techniques were a true highlight for me and have been integrated into a weekly practice for me. Alicia was dipping a toe into a monogamish partnership, and she got a lot of value from the tools and insights. They're so versatile and they can really enhance any type of relationship, not just non-monogamous ones. So this is where we're going in the next hour. I'm going to offer a special bonus as a thank you for the folks who showed up live, which I'll tell you about in a moment. I'm going to give you an overview of somatic relationship coaching. We'll do a little mini meditation experience so you can get a taste of kind of how this group might feel. I'll tell you a little bit about my personal and professional history with consensual non-monogamy. I'll give you a little overview of the pillars and frameworks and benefits of the program, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A at the end. So at any point, feel free to drop questions in the chat as they arrive, and we'll hold most of them until the end. So I am offering a special bonus for all of you who have shown up live. I really like to reward people for being present and engaged. So I'm going to offer a free 55-minute coaching session to the most engaged person in the room tonight. And this will be announced at the end of our time together. And usually charge $180 for an hour of my time, but really excited to offer some free support to people who are clearly ready to transform and grow. So engagement can look like asking thoughtful questions and sharing in the chat, and maybe even being brave enough to raise your hand at the end. So if you haven't already, I'd love to know who is in the room. Where are you joining from? And maybe you can share a word or two to describe your internal weather right now. I will kick that off. I'm based in the East Bay of San Francisco, also known as unceded Ohlone land. And in this moment, I'm feeling like a sparkly rainbow. I just woke up from a nap and ate some chocolate, and having conversations about non-monogamy is my favorite thing in the world. And I really get a lot of energy from creating brave spaces where people can engage with their desires and open up and be seen and be honest. So thank you for heeding the call and showing up with me here. So if you feel like dropping that in the chat, I'll keep going and then we'll check in. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure why you're here, but my guess is that you're either curious and just beginning to explore alternatives to monogamy to better meet your needs. Maybe you're newly open and looking to build resources to combat either the loneliness, insecurity, or overwhelm that comes from moving away from monogamy. Or maybe you're really struggling with specific pain points as you try to embrace non-monogamy. So if you haven't already, I would love to hear you drop again in the chat. Do one of these resonate with you? Are you struggling, curious, open, or something else? I'm just going to read who's here. Joining from New Orleans, feeling sunny with scattered clouds. Yeah. Rashid and Sarah, North Bay. Hello, Meg. Montreal and Sea Midlands. Nice. Internal weather's definitely a little stormy. Back to school. Yeah. Ontario. Cool. Queer solo poly. Logan from the North Bay. Beautiful. Love that. Great to know a little bit more about all of you. So thanks for sharing. And yeah, feel free to drop a little bit more about what brought you here. So whatever your motivation, I just want to say I'm so glad you're here. This is a non-judgmental, brave space. Whether you're monogamish, brand new to open relationships, maybe you have a complex poly relationship ecosystem, or somewhere in between, all of your curiosity and questions are welcome here. Michael, feeling a little stormy. We have someone from Brooklyn. Cool. You used to live in Fort Greene. I love it. So I'm Arya. I use she, her pronouns. Some of my identities include polyamorous, demisexual, bisexual, queer, cisgender. And as a somatic relationship coach, I really help people practicing non-monogamy deepen their self-awareness, overcome insecurities, and enhance communication skills to create more liberated relationships that feel expansive and nourishing. And over the last 10 plus years, I have definitely made probably every single mistake in the book when it comes to the common challenges and pitfalls of non-monogamous relating, and I really love to support other people who are on a similar path, and hope that by polishing some of the really hard lessons and learnings that I went through, it can help you all avoid some of those really painful mistakes that I made when I started on this journey. And yeah, Meg, I hear you that you're struggling with some processing, newly open, same. Yeah, you're not alone. Okay, cool. So what is somatic relationship coaching? I see it as a transformative methodology to help us evolve unhelpful patterns of reactivity that prevent us from embodying the types of relationships we desire. It's really a way to get unstuck from the shapes that we've grown accustomed to inhabiting when they no longer serve us or align with who we want to become. So I want to introduce you to a little somatic centering practice. Centering is a foundation of somatic coaching, and the principle is really to build a strong center inside of ourselves so that when the inevitable complications of non-monogamy knock us off balance, we have a place to return to. So before we do that, I do just want to encourage you to silence phones, close doors, maybe close all the extra tabs on your computer, and just create a little bit of quiet space for you to be with you. So I see meditation as an essential fuse lengthening practice. That's a term borrowed from the Qigong master Pedram Shojai. And I really believe meditation helps people practicing non-monogamy build inner capacity to better manage the complexities of open relating. And I really like to challenge people to commit to a practice to help you deepen your relationship with yourself. So, yeah, I want to take a moment to get centered and share this practice with you. So I'd encourage you just to anchor into your intention. Remember why you joined here today. If you want to lay down or just comfy in your seat, we'll be here for about 7 minutes. And I'm going to just stop screen sharing so you can see my face. And yeah, you can go ahead and close your eyes, soften your gaze, and we're going to intentionally center in 4 dimensions. So hi, Trace, I see you just joined. We're just gonna do a little meditation practice. So you're right on time.
Great. Hi, thank you.
So yeah, so the invitation is to get comfy, seated or laying down. And just take a moment to check in with yourself. Notice how you're arriving. And begin to turn your awareness to your breath. Just lengthening both the inhales and the exhales and really settling into your body. So this practice helps us be more present, open, connected, and on purpose. Centering is a practice to help us transform ourselves and perceive more choices. It helps us ground into the present moment with all that is and take steps towards a more aligned vision for our life and make more conscious choices about how we want to show up for ourselves in this container and in our relationships. So just begin by bringing your full awareness back into your own body in this present moment in your own being. Just begin to notice if there are places of discomfort, maybe some tingling or tightness, anywhere that feels numb. And if it feels good, you can place a hand on your lower belly. We call this center in this practice. And the first direction we're going to center is the vertical dimension. So you can imagine a line running from your feet or your tailbone to your head. And just notice if there are ways that you can elongate there. Can you connect a little bit deeper down into the earth and also reach for what's above you? As we center into our full length, this is the way that dignity gets expressed in our shape. It's literally an invitation to stand tall and proud in the essence of your being. So as you feel into your full length, just feel into your inherent worth and value and let that shape how you show up in this moment. This is an invitation to root more fully into yourself in a way where you can bring your full presence and dignity and purpose. The second dimension we're going to root into is our side body. So here we just center into our width, noticing the width of your head and your jaw, your shoulders, your arms and your elbows, your torso, your hips, your knees, your feet. Just centering in the width of your body as we center into the feeling of belonging. Maybe you can invite yourself to release some of the tension that you've been holding. Can you soften and be vulnerable and feel held by the acceptance and curiosity in this room? Maybe bring your breath to any places where you've been told to shrink, and just invite yourself to take up a little bit more space. Maybe take a collective breath here as we settle into that feeling of belonging. Next, we're going to center into the back body. So I want to invite you just to lean back. Notice any sensations on your shoulder blades or the back of your neck, the edges of your heel. Imagine leaning onto the wall behind you. Behind us is our history, everything that we've lived before this very moment. Behind us is also billions of years of evolutionary wisdom, all of your ancestors, the wisdom in your own body, and the evolution of all human bodies. Just imagine all of the love stories through your ancestral line that created you and brought you to this very moment. As we're focused on the back body, I want to invite you to also call in those who have your back. They could be friends or pets, people in this world or historically or on the ancestral plane. Just feel into that sense of being supported. Next, we'll center in the front body. So you can just begin to feel into where your back body meets your front body and bring your awareness to your forehead and invite it to soften, softening your cheeks, your shoulders, and your chest, opening the heart space, softening the belly, feeling for breath there. The front body is our future. It's the place where our intentions, our hopes, and our dreams reside. So just notice for any sensations, maybe on the tops of your hands, your arms, your face, How are you showing up in this moment, in this season? If your hand's not already on your lower belly, I would invite you just to touch base there with your center of gravity as we center into this final dimension of care and purpose. What do you care about? Who do you care about? Maybe imagine a person, a place, or a pet. Just imagine something that you care about right in front of you and bring to mind any senses, smells, touch, or vision of this love. And notice what shifts in your body when you're connecting with what you care about. I invite you to form an intention, one thing you want to practice as it pertains to your relationships, and just let whatever that intention is inform how you show up now. Just invite that to fill up every breath and every cell so that we can start to move with more intention and aligned action. So, this practice helps us remember our dignity, our belonging, our boundaries, our depth, what we long for, where we came from, and what we're moving towards. So I'm going to invite you to take another big, deep breath here, filling all the way up, and a big open mouth sigh. Take a couple more big, deep breaths. And as we begin to close here, just notice what has shifted in you. Maybe even just 1 degree from how you arrived here. With one more big inhale and one big sigh, you can roll your shoulders, take a little stretch, maybe drink some water. And then when you're ready, we'd love for you to drop a word or two in the chat. How are you feeling now? Thank you for that practice. So, my challenge to you as you continue to explore any type of non-monogamy is to really commit to strengthen your relationship with yourself, first and foremost. So I like to challenge people to create a designated sit spot somewhere in your house. And you can add a candle or a piece of art or something from nature that inspires you to connect with yourself, and practice carving out 5 or 10 minutes a day to be with yourself, to deepen your self-awareness, be with your feelings, identify your needs, notice your patterns, lengthen your fuse, and really reduce any tendencies of automatic emotional reactivity. Present, centered, grounded, feeling a sensation of letting go. Yeah, beautiful. So if your life is so full with work and responsibility, caring for partners, family, children, aging parents, and you're not prioritizing a daily relationship with yourself, it's going to be much harder to have the capacity to handle non-monogamous relationship shenanigans that will inevitably arise as you're learning an entirely new paradigm of loving and relating. So if you join my group, I'll send you some of my custom free guided meditations to support this practice. But what I love about meditation is it's free, it can be done anywhere, and it just really requires a commitment and a curiosity to be with yourself. So from this centered place of being centered in all of our dimensions, we can begin to explore this question that one of my teachers, Stacey Haynes, asks, which is, what is embodied in you that may not align with your values? So for example, maybe you have a history of shutting down during a conflict and stonewalling or emotionally leaving the room. Or maybe you are someone like me who loves to slam doors. That used to be my embodied response when I felt overwhelmed. I'm like, no way, slamming this door and getting out of here. Probably learned that reaction from my mom. Thanks, Mom. But as we can begin to recognize how some of these past experiences shape our current physical responses, we can honor these protective survival shapes that our bodies have adapted to as our default reactions. And with more somatic awareness, we might learn to slow down ask for space, and commit to returning to the conversation when we're more grounded, which can create healthier and more intentional interactions. So, with practice, we can transform these automatic habitual reactions into new ways of moving through the world that align more deeply with our values. So, somatic coaching really starts with this practice of building our somatic awareness, which essentially means bringing more conscious awareness to our once unconscious reactions. So, another example is maybe we notice our gut starts clenching or twisting when our partner is gushing about someone new that they're dating and excited about. Our body might be trying to communicate an embodied fear of losing our partner's love, right? And if we become aware enough, we have choices about what we can then do with that sensation. Hopefully, we don't just ignore it and suppress it. But for many of us, that kind of avoidance or bottling up of feelings that feel too big might be part of our protective survival shape, born out of a desire not to be abandoned or rejected. And for me, breath work has been one of the best tools to deepen my sense of self awareness and release some of these old patterns. And in this group coaching program, I'm really excited to share 3 different somatic breathwork rituals with you, where you'll be invited to create a cozy nest and explore your inner world in a new way and maybe start to let go of some old programming and patterns. So, would love to invite you just to take a pause and breathe and maybe comment in the chat. Where in your relationships do you notice habitual reactions that stem from a place of anxiety, insecurity, overwhelm, or fear? So I'll give you a couple moments to think about that and just want to reiterate that meditation and mindfulness and somatic practices really help us listen to the messages that arise in our own bodies. And then we can begin to work with that information to either communicate with our partners or advocate for our needs, update our internal stories to be more empowering, or even create new boundaries and agreements that help us build safety. Shutting down and not voicing my truth when there is conflict. Yeah, my torso, especially my chest. Yeah, thanks for these shares. So, one of my favorite quotes is "We become what we practice." This comes from Adrienne Marie Brown. And my question is, are you actively and intentionally practicing being in non-monogamous relationships? So I like to use all of the past challenging experiences that I've gone through over the last decade, combined with my professional training in somatics, communication, mindfulness, and trauma therapy, to really introduce you to some of the practices that will guide you through this expansive and sometimes disorienting and overwhelming complexities of non-monogamy. And what I've really learned is that the most successful non-monogamous relationships begin with a commitment to personal and relational growth and a lot of unlearning. So I'd love to hear, what are you currently practicing in your relationships? I hear Meg say, processing during communication. I often get into a desperate need to fix and solve and make my partner safe for me. Oof. Yeah, I hear you. Been there. So a couple more things from past clients. David, who came into the program very monogamish, wrote, "The course and the group was great. Arya gave us so many tools and exercise to help with our relationships, with others, ourselves, and our bodies. I highly recommend this, whatever your relationship preferences or explorations." Craig came into the group having 6 years of polyamorous experience, but was transitioning from a breakup in a more hierarchical partnered structure to a solo poly approach and was really looking for community. And he said it was truly a dream. We created a beautiful blend of conversations and group dynamics that felt easy to participate in. Being able to discuss openly about our successes and struggles made me feel less alone in this monogamy centered world. And this is really a reason why I create this community, is because it can feel so lonely and isolating when we're in communities where maybe we're the only one relating in this way. And I love introducing people to new intentional practices that make it possible to find nourishment in all types of relationships, whether it's monogamish or polyamorous or anything in between. So as you think about your own future, Can you imagine what it might feel like if you were less insecure, more confident in your ability to craft intentional and consensual relationships of any style you choose with ease? It would be kind of amazing, right? Maybe give me a yes, please in the comments if you're on board with this empowering vision of confidence and choicefulness. And I just want to clearly state that it is indeed possible to feel safe, supported, secure, and calm while having multiple loving, sexual, or emotionally intimate relationships simultaneously. I think for a long time at the beginning of this journey, I didn't really believe that this was possible. And I think it's really important to plant this seed firmly in your brain if you're going to deepen your practice into open relationships, that it is possible to move through the uncomfortable phase. And to go back to that front body piece of the somatic centering practice, it's really important that we get clear on what our big dream is for ourselves that we're moving towards. I think it can be so easy to fall into the trap of focusing on the fears and what we don't want to happen with non-monogamy and kind of clenching and bracing and kind of like looking over our shoulders in fear. And I really challenge my coaching clients to hold the vision of what your ideal future looks like. And I'm here to help you with that because there are a lot of ways to do this that can be abundant and loving and healing and connective and pleasurable. And that's what I really want to anchor us all into, knowing that each of our dreams will likely be wildly diverse and beautiful in their own way. So, as I see it, the main challenge with practicing non monogamy is that it can put us in a lot of uncomfortable foreign situations where we don't have any experience or reference points on how to gracefully move through it. And my approach is really looking at somatics as an embodiment practice that grows our ability to be more present and resourced in complex situations. So, this is the framework that I've created over the last decade of making all the mistakes. It's really all of my essential tools, skills, frameworks that I've learned, tried on, read about, practiced, heard about, and integrated. So, this journey is really about practicing mindset shifts, expanding into new possibilities, learning about nervous system regulation, as well as communication frameworks that help you feel confident, calm, and capable. So, it's 7 different modules. We start by really nurturing creativity and curiosity. We move into helping opening our emotional capacity, understanding expectations, and creating agreements through clear communication, reworking any patterns of codependency and jealousy, creating tools for intentional repair and building resilience, knowing that there are going to be little ruptures that we have to overcome and misunderstandings as we're unlearning. It's really about self-reflection and creating rituals to help strengthen and create secure connections. And it's also about healing and growing a healthy relationship ecosystem. So, together in 15 lessons through these 7 modules, we will together envision your ideal relationship structure, practice both the self regulation and the co regulation techniques, identify limiting beliefs, and begin to replace them with more empowering frameworks. We'll identify core attachment needs, map your nervous system, and help you understand those 3 different states and how they show up for you. We'll reduce your insecurity and track your triggers and bring some healing to the younger, scared parts of you that maybe are struggling or are resistant to non monogamy. We'll iterate on your boundaries, strengthen your disclosure agreements, build trust and a sense of teamwork with you and partners. We'll develop proactive care rituals to create those secure relationships, design communication check ins, build some ways to repair, strengthen self-confidence, and create strategies to handle conflict with more ease. So I would say these are really the 3 foundational key pillars of this framework that we're going to strengthen together. So after 15 weeks, you will leave this program feeling more confident in your capacity, more centered in your vision and your values, and clear in your communication. So, with this first pillar, I would love to know, is there a part of you that struggles to manage the emotional intensity, the jealousy, and anxiety that non-monogamy provokes? Is there a part of you that feels unworthy or not good enough when your partner expresses a desire to see other people? And is there a part of you that worries that it's never going to get easier? I definitely used to say yes to all three of these questions. And I have definitely been there. And I promise it does get easier and it can become so joyful and juicy and abundant. So, together, we'll really work to track your patterns, build that internal self worth, befriend your nervous system, practice the somatic techniques that can help you reduce insecurity, regulate your emotions, and come back into a grounded state when you're overwhelmed. So Allison came into this program identifying as polycurious and left saying, I feel so much more confident and capable after completing this course. And it's an exciting journey, and I am so much clearer about my needs and limits. Elle came in with 7 years of very casual, open relating experience and wrote that she used to struggle and push through the tough non monogamous conversations, often feeling dysregulated and ashamed of big feels. This program really gave her the tools, framework, and community to care for herself during those conversations. And yeah, Izzy, I see I struggle with these things, but have been working on them for some time now and it's becoming easier. Yeah, practice definitely makes perfect, right? There's always more to practice. And when we can begin to understand our capacity and learn more about our fears and develop our ability to find comfort in scenarios that were once challenging, we can really begin to grow that confidence and trust ourselves more that we can handle what's coming our way in any kind of relationship structure. So, the second pillar is all about being centered in your vision and values. So, I'm curious, is there a part of you that still feels maybe some shame or embarrassment about being seen in your authentic desires for something other than monogamy? Is there a part of you that worries that if you invest more into learning about non monogamy, there's no going back to the relative safety of monogamous relating? I definitely hear this second question come up a lot for people. It's like this fear that if they open the bottle further, there's no putting the genie back inside. And I really see this process of learning about the options you have and the creativity that's possible that you can bring to any relationship when we move away from assumptions and default expectations about love and marriage and sex and relating. Yeah, Navarre says I definitely feel the need to compete externally, shut down internally, and then I get flustered with my emotions and can't express. Yeah, I feel that. I worry about our capacity to gracefully manage these complex relationship dynamics, honoring all, including ourselves. Yeah, it can be a delicate balance and a practice. So I always say to do non-monogamy well requires that we confront both deeply ingrained societal norms as well as personal insecurities, right? It's like layers of stuff to wade through. So together we'll really work to identify and replace those limiting beliefs with empowering stories of what's possible when we invite a creative broadening of how we meet our needs. So you'll get inspired by hearing about all kinds of different relationship structures of all types, find more clarity about what's possible when you move beyond mononormative thinking and anchor into your own desires, visions, and values to create relationships that really nourish you. So if you're currently not sure yet what your visions and values for non-monogamy looks like, don't worry. That's definitely what we'll do together. Michelle came in as polycurious and said that after leaving, she knew herself more deeply, felt more connected to her partner, and more certain of her capacity and desires. Pete came into the program as theoretically poly for most of his life, but monogamous in practice, and was excited about the next phase of his relationship because he now has the key principles, frameworks, and context for moving forward with non monogamy and are more well positioned to explore different dimensions of our relationships and avoid codependent tendencies. So, no matter what relationship style you practice, there's a lot of good tools that can support anything that you're desiring to create. And finally, the last and maybe the most important part of all of this is the proactive communication piece. So you'll really get clear in your communication skills, and learn how to express yourself in ways where people are more likely to hear you. So I'm curious, is there a part of you that tends to bottle up all of your emotions or struggles to articulate your needs? I used to be so guilty of this, and I really wanted my partner to be a mind reader in our early years. And maybe you were also a people pleaser like me, and there's a part of you that maybe even believes that you shouldn't have needs at all. I definitely struggled with that. Curious if there's another part of you that has a hard time knowing how to make or hold boundaries or agreements that make you feel safe and supported. Or is there a part of you that has a hard time apologizing, taking accountability for your part, and repairing after a relationship rupture? These are all really important skills to develop. And I always say two of the most important skills to practice when it comes to communicating about non-monogamy are really knowing what your core needs are at any moment and trusting that they're valid and worth advocating for, and then being able to formulate that into clear enough words that someone else can then begin to understand how to help you meet those needs. So together we'll practice proactive frameworks to create space for navigating potentially challenging situations, more clearly make agreements, set expectations, and navigate fears by learning how to advocate for your needs and develop skills to communicate in a way that takes ownership of your part, provides validation to your partner, and helps you better repair after ruptures. So Alicia came into the program having been monogamish for 2 years and said one of the most memorable parts was learning that communication is a key factor in building deep connection with others. This realization not only improved my relationships, but also helped in my self-healing. It's inspired me to explore my true feelings and thoughts more deeply. These experiences have been invaluable and have greatly contributed to my personal growth. And perhaps my favorite review of the program came from Allison, who shared that the communication tools I practice in this group helped me to create the emotional intimacy that led to one of the best sexual experiences of my entire life. Wow, so grateful. So I love that one. um, so here's a question. Invitation to reflect and comment in the chat. What will you stop doing in your relationships when you have more skills, tools, and frameworks to practice non-monogamy in a nourishing way? So a couple of things that I've heard is that I stopped comparing myself to other people that my partner's dating and really learned to believe in my own unique worth. I stopped believing that I should feel shame about my desire for novelty with multiple sexual partners. I stopped playing it cool and instead learned to ask for the care and reassurance that I need to feel safe and seen. And I stopped trying to push through tough conversations when my nervous system was on fire. I'm curious if there are any things bubbling up that you're like, ooh, maybe that's something I should consider not doing anymore. So that's some inspo. And I have a few more questions for you. Can you see yourself thriving in a non-monogamous structure? And would you like me to virtually hold your hand as we build the foundation to make it possible to feel safe and secure and supported while having multiple loving sexual or emotionally intimate relationships? Meg, I will stop being so defensive and trying to get my partner to change and speak up for my own needs and care and getting more curious about my partner. Izzy, I'll stop trying to shrink myself and deny myself. Yeah, Michael, I found that it can be extremely hard to let go of paradigms that have been deeply ingrained in us. Sexual shame and purity culture. Yeah. Yeah, I love these shares. Thank you all so much. Beautiful. So you have some options as you move forward. You could do what my nesting partner slash husband and I did, which was go it alone, get very lost in the wilderness of non-monogamy, unfortunately cause a lot of harm, and then pay literally thousands of dollars for 3 therapists to unwind the damage and rebuild the trust and the entire foundation of our partnership. And I'm really hoping that you haven't also found yourself in this place, because I know it unfortunately is the starting place for many of us, and it can be so disorienting and so uncomfortable. And in an ideal world, you skip a lot of that pain and heartbreak and are proactively building the skills and hopefully finding an open-hearted community of relationship explorers entering brave new relationship territory with a certified field guide who knows the terrain and can point out the dangers and help you consider possibilities that maybe you haven't even wrapped your head around yet to help you grow and evolve into this paradigm with more easefulness so you can get to the fun, juicy, joy-filled possibilities a little bit faster with less difficulty to unpack. So if you are ready to build the essential skills, norms, ethical guidelines needed to feel calm, capable, and confident of practicing non-monogamy in a nourishing way, I would love to invite you to come on this 15-week journey with me in this open-hearted community who will help normalize alternative relationship structures and inspire you with new approaches. And in this 15-week group coaching program, I really promise that you will go from feeling secure about the complexities of all of this to feeling much more confident in your ability to proactively create the consensual relationships of your dreams with the skills that you need to manage the different seasons, whether you are polyamorous, whether you're monogamous, or you balance and move between different options. So usually 30 hours of my group coaching at $100, $180 an hour is $5,400. There's $400 worth of bonus content in this program, and the total course value is $5,800. But I really want to empower you all with the skills and tools that I so desperately needed at the beginning of my own journey, and I want this information to be accessible. So the course is listed at a standard price of $1,597. And to make it even more accessible, I offer sliding scale pricing and payment plans. This accessible pricing model is borrowed with gratitude from Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. And I really want this information and these skills to be accessible to a wider audience. So you can break up the standard price into 5 payments of $329. If you're someone who's currently under-resourced and would benefit from community support, the supported price is $11.97 or 5 prices of $249. If you're someone who has a lot of financial abundance and you want to contribute to rebalancing inequity, the rebalancing price is $19.97 or 5 payments of $409. And so I also offer optional personal support upgrades, which there's limited availability, discounted from my usual one-on-one rates. If you want a little extra hand-holding, you can choose from the light support, which is 3 private sessions throughout the 15 weeks. If you want more hand-holding, we can meet every other week for the 15-week program. So if you're ready to say yes, I'm going to drop the form in the chat. It is limited one-on-one support, first come, first serve. And again, here's all of the things that are included: 30 hours of live group learning, practicing within the 7 training modules, videos, meditations, reflection prompts. We have 3 live breathwork and parts work healing experiences, 2 optional in-person Bay Area integration events, community support, time and space to ask questions, not to mention virtual hand-holding every step of the way. I'm also giving you 15 weeks of premium access to my weekly long-form newsletter of tips and advice. And I know you might be thinking, I have a specific tender question that I'd love to get advice on without having to ask it in front of the group. So in addition to those optional one-on-one support options, I'm also offering a free bonus if you enroll in the program before 5 p.m. PST. You can submit your most vulnerable questions in the onboarding form, and I'll write you a full custom anonymous essay addressing it in the coming weeks, published on my blog at aryadiana.substack.com. I also hear this a lot. What if I decide non-monogamy isn't actually right for me? So if you sign up in the next hour and 15 minutes, in addition to getting a custom essay, I'll also give you a free copy of this workbook that I'm designing for my workshop at the Conversions Retreat in NorCal this fall that explores how the philosophy of non-monogamy can enhance any relationship structure. So it's really looking at desires and boundaries and choice. And I just want to reiterate that a decade ago, when I started on my own non-monogamous journey, I was a closeted, queer, anxious people pleaser who avoided all emotional conversations and truly had 0 boundaries. And I never would have predicted my capacity to find nourishment in a non-monogamous situation. But I've done a lot of self-growth and healing work to become a more empowered human who knows that my needs do matter and I can generally, but not always, stay calm while communicating about tough things that used to send me spiraling. So all of that to say, I'm not special. I don't have any superhuman powers. I just realized that I had desires that I had bottled up and locked away. And I finally gave them space to breathe and committed to looking at the parts of me that I had shame and fear around. So all that's to say, if I can do it, I really believe you can too. And there are so many ways of doing non-monogamy, and I'm never advocating for a certain style of relating, but I want to create spaces where people feel permission to ask questions, to, yeah, examine what they've been taught, to actually look at what you deeply want and need, and create a space where you can show up unapologetically in a way that feels more aligned with your real desires, whatever they may be. So if you sign up, fill out that onboarding form before 5 p.m. tonight, you'll get both extra bonuses, the free journaling workbook, a custom essay written just for you, sliding scale payment plans, 5 payments of anywhere from $249 to $409, and that link is in the chat now. And everyone gets access to even more great bonus content. I'll share with you this very vulnerable 90-minute recording that I asked my polycule to do with me for the week of visibility for non-monogamy, where we explore polyamory, insecurity, jealousy, hierarchy, metamor, relationships, and more. So you'll hear in this from me and my nesting partner, Sky, his other partner, Bex, my sweetie, Justin, and his wife, Olivia, or his wife, Selena, and the husband of Sky's other partner, Olivia. I think that's probably the most poly thing I've ever said, but you'll also get to learn more from my nesting partner, Sky, who taught an amazing workshop exploring kink, safer sex with multiple partners, consent, and in really exploring those shadowy desires that we often kept locked up. And we will learn from Olivia, who's a licensed professional clinical counselor, in a workshop exploring trauma, attachment, our protective parts, and how to cultivate a more secure base. And on November 24th, you'll meet these two married nesting partners live, my sweetie Justin and my metamor Selena. So they've been poly for 12 years and will share about their rich personal and professional experience of working with Selena's disorganized attachment and really learning how to build safety in her nervous system. So they had multiple therapists be like, guys, I don't know if you're ever going to be able to successfully do polyamory, and they have made it work. So again, if they can do it, I believe anybody can. So whether you're curious, newly open, or struggling, no matter the reason you're here, I'd love to see you proactively invest in building relationship structures of all types. And you might be thinking, I don't have time to do this whole program live. I'm not going to be able to be there every Sunday. All of the recordings are shared within 24 hours. You'll have access forever. This program won't reopen until spring 2025. And everyone in the group does get paired with at least one other student. So there's a fun buddy system where you'll get matched based on either where you are geographically or where you are in your relationship journey. So at any point, if you can't join a live class, you'll have the whole group to reach out to, as well as one designated person that you could practice or have the integration conversations with that you would miss in the breakout room. So I do offer a 14-day money back guarantee. If after the first 2 classes and you've done some of the exercises and you're like, you know what, actually, this isn't a good fit for me, I'll give you a full refund. I really want people to feel excited and feel like they're getting support and value. So that is there. Yeah, if you fill out the form by 5 o'clock, I'm excited to share the bonus content with you. I'm also offering a special pay in full bonus. So there's the payment plan or the full payment option. If you choose the full pay in full option, I'll give you a bonus one-on-one private coaching session with me, which is another $880 value. So I'm really trying to make this as supportive and resourced as possible. Yeah, again, here are the prices. Sliding scale pay in full is $11.97 to $19.97, or 5 payments of $249 to $409. And yeah, just to anchor again into that future you, this could be you. You've deepened your self-awareness. You have new supportive resources to help you build capacity in your nervous system to stay present with partners during conflict. You can more clearly create shared agreements that help everyone feel safe and supported. You feel more empowered in your ability to craft the intentional, consensual relationships of any structure that feel meaningful and sustainable. And let's see, time to give away the special bonus. You all have been so active, and it's been awesome to hear this conversation, read your feedback. Let's see, I'm going to offer the free coaching session to Izzy. I see a lot of great shares here. So Izzy, you can email me at Arya to schedule your free session. And again, for everyone else, if you want to fill out that onboarding form in the next hour, you'll get all of those bonuses and hold your spot. And we'll open it up for Q&A now. If anybody has any remaining questions, you can raise a digital hand if you want to come off mute, or you can stick your questions in the chat. We can have a little conversation. And I'll just say, I know things can be tender and it can be, vulnerable to share. So if anybody has any questions that you don't want to say out loud, I am booking some calls. I'm going to drop this link in the chat right now as well. I have a little bit of availability tonight and tomorrow, and then I'm fully booked until early September. But if you're curious, on the fence, you want to chat a little bit more, definitely look at grabbing some time on my calendar. Anyone else? Any questions? Any tips for starting the non-monogamous journey at Burning Man? Ooh. Yes, I love that. A few things. I would say create a space to proactively communicate about potential desires, possibilities, hard boundaries. I always like to encourage people, if you're going into, say, the Orgy Dome, which is like a group sexual play space, create some microscripts. And those are essentially agreements that mean like, hey, I am feeling overwhelmed and I need us to pause, but maybe I can't formulate that into a sentence. So I usually encourage people to use yellow and red. So yellow is like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Can we take a break? And red is like hard boundary, like I need all activity to stop right now. So those would be my two suggestions. Proactive communication before having some, short scripts that you can use in the moment. And then also I love to suggest people use the rosebud thorn communication framework to integrate. And if you don't know that already, rose is each person shares like something that they loved about the experience. The thorn is an invitation to talk about what you didn't love or what was a little painful, as a way to, share the things that maybe we might bottle up or not bring forth. And then the bud is like, that was something that was interesting or enjoyable, and I would be interested in exploring more of that in the future. So it's like communication before the new experience, some communication agreements that you can use in the moment, and then a way to integrate to help you learn and share what you liked and what you want to avoid going forward. So that can be a good way to kind of find our boundaries and iterate on them. It's like, all right, how are we going to build safety? Then we're going to have this new experience, and then we're going to integrate it and hopefully glean some lessons and learnings from it. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions? What if life in general already feels overwhelming enough? We worry about our capacity to manage the increased relational needs of a more open relationship style. Yeah, I think that's really real. It's important to like look at what is our capacity to be in relationship with one person, let alone multiple people. What is our relationship with ourselves? Like I said at the beginning, like how are you taking time to take care of yourself and building that relationship here first and foremost? And it's important to like look at the calendar. And I always encourage people to be like, okay, before you start going out and dating a bunch of people, really like check in and take stock of how much time do I have to be meeting new people? What are my existing obligations? Like, okay, if I only have one night a week, do I really want to use that meeting new people, or do I want to spend that on my own hobbies? And really getting clear on the time and bandwidth and energy that we have for dating other people. And and being really transparent with the people that then we engage with. Like, hey, I'm just beginning this open exploration. Realistically, I have time for 1 date a month with you. And being able to like set those expectations up front, I think can go a long way. And ideally, the more we know our capacity and the more that we can communicate it to the people we're starting to engage with, the fewer misunderstandings there will be. So that would be how I'd begin to answer that question. All right, friends. Let's see. Perhaps you could share a few thoughts on taking the course solo with a partner. Yeah, that's a great question. So in the last cohort, I was actually surprised how many people joined the program with a partner. I would say it was 60% people partnered, 40% people there on their own. I do ask that everyone joins from their own computers, and those partners will get separated in breakout rooms so everyone has time and space to reflect with other people. And I really try to minimize any presence of couples privilege in the space by doing that. I don't want people who aren't there with a partner to feel less than. So we really try to make it an individual learning and growth experience, even if you are in the room with other partners. And I did have check-ins with the people who joined partnered to make sure that they were feeling like they could show up authentically and were having spaces to have conversations. And it was actually really cool to see the work that couples did together on this journey. I think it's a great way to build a shared language, a shared framework of tools, so that when one person's like, hey, let's create a microscript, you both understand what that means and can more easily move forward. So yeah, the space is definitely designed for people of any relationship type, whether you're partnered or unpartnered. I think it's cool to see people doing this work together, but also it's really an internal self-discovery journey. So however you show up is most welcome. Yeah. Let's see, anyone else before we close? Look at that. We're right at 4 o'clock. Love when that happens. All right, friends. Well, I'm going to drop a couple last links here in the chat. Again, you have another hour. If you feel called and you're like, yes, this program is for me, grab those bonuses before the end of the hour. And yeah, the link is there to review all of the details of the full program. If you want book a little more time with me, happy to jump on a call tonight or tomorrow or in early September. And thank you so much. And I'm wishing you all so much love and support and resources. And I hope you find everything you need to move forward in a way that feels really nourishing. And if I can be a resource and support you on that, I would be thrilled. And yeah, happy Sunday. Hope to be in touch. Take good care, everybody. Good night.